I want a Filipino lead for the new Starship Trooper remake. All right, let's make it happen. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Rated G. If you are new here, welcome to the show. I am your host, G Terado, and here on the podcast, I like to dive in to all things related to art and creativity, as well as, interests, hobbies, all that good jazz. And I often will have fellow artists and creative minds featured on the show to talk about their endeavors, stories, life experiences. I really like to get in their heads and see what makes them tick. So if you are into that type of content, please consider subscribing to the podcast, whether you're listening or watching. Especially if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe. Definitely ring that notification bell so you can keep up with the new uploads. And yeah, you can catch my social media, keep up with me. Just follow the links down below. I also do have an online shop if you want to shop for some artwork. I sell both prints and originals, one of ones on there. And yeah, so check that out when you get the chance. All right. So today we're gonna be just talking about some recent film news because CinemaCon just happened very recently, and we're also gonna talk a little bit about some retro games because there were a couple of titles that were announced, or rather, there were some trailers released that really perked my interest. So, yeah, again, you know, if you're a gamer, this might be. I'm honestly, if you're into like all things like geek, nerd culture, on top of, you know, the arts and creativity, this is definitely the place for you. So, yeah. So first, we're gonna start off with some titles. Again, I'm not gonna cover all of the movies that were announced and presented at CinemaCon. I'm just gonna talk about the titles that interest me. There's a lot of reboots, and you got all these sequels coming out. I'm just gonna focus on some reboots because there were some that I didn't realize were in the works, and then some that they released some trailers for ones where I'm like, oh, it kind of took me by surprise. So that's what we're gonna get into. So if you're watching, we are going to switch to the old screen share layout. We are going to start with Tron Ares because this is one of the titles that caught me by surprise. Like we just keep hearing word that they're gonna make another sequel or whatever. So I know there's been like some failed attempts. Um, right? I don't know. I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff, but here we have Tron Ares, and it's starring Jared Leto, Greta Lee, and of course Jeff Bridges. Which, I mean, he's like the only one who seems to be coming back for this movie. This must be like just a money grab for him, honestly, because uh, whatever. I'll share more of my thoughts. We're gonna check this out. Let's see. My computer's running slow, so I do apologize in advance.
120 miles per hour, last seen heading northbound. Unit 12, acknowledging dispatch.
Okay, we got
Already
those
in
cool Tron cycles, but it looks like shit. They're like out in the wild now. Well, okay, that kind of makes sense.
I'm looking for something. Something I do not understand.
Ooh, didn't mean to pause that. Damn it. Oh, that's what's her name from X-Files. Oh shit. We got that big like floating machine. don't know what they're called. Oh, is that? Huh. I'm gonna say right off the bat, like the visuals look really cool. Oh shit, that's pretty cool. Is this? Of course. Yep. Fucking Jared Leto. I'm so curious. I mean, obviously we'll find out when the movie premieres, but like why like what is his role? Ares. Because like that's the thing, man. I mean, I get it. He's a big name. He's gonna be in everything. But let's face it, anything this dude touches seems to be it doesn't do well. So this comes out in October. I'm not gonna lie. I'm curious. I don't know if I'll watch this in theaters. Um, I did see that. Oh my God, there's like cat hair on my mic. There's what do you call it? Nine Inch Nails is gonna be doing the soundtrack for this one, which is pretty cool. They're pretty legendary. Um, it's gonna be tough for them to try to top what um Daft Punk has done for Tron Legacy, because that whole soundtrack was just phenomenal. It really just fit the whole tone and mood of that film. But like that being said, like it really, like, I wonder if they're gonna address the other characters, because now we're seeing this Tron universe like coexisting, like it's these vehicles, these characters, they're out in the wild on in the real world. And like I'm curious, I feel like because they kind of like alluded to that, I guess, with the last movie with Legacy, when Sam, right, I think his name was Sam, and he brings Cora to the real world. So you kind of have that hint of like, yeah, it's possible to bring, yeah, like you can bring the people from the game back into this, or out into this life. Um, so I'm curious. I am curious to see like how all of this is now coming out into the world. Um, but also like, what the fuck happened to Sam Flynn? Like why no, like I mean they gotta address him at some point. And also Tron, like, I mean he sacrifices himself, right? Like it brings up so many questions, because like, all right, Jeff Bridges is in it and he dies, or he kind of sacrifices himself. So how does he come back, if he does come back? um And so basically now my real question is, what happened to Sam Flynn and Cora? Or, will they be addressed? Maybe they'll have a cameo, a small role in the film. Like they gotta, there's gotta be a way to address that, or at least have some closure with that arc. They just gotta do something with that properly, because like this is like such a huge gap too. Because when did Tron Legacy come out? That had to have been like what, the like in the late 2000 teens. Let's see. Tron Legacy. Wow, 2010? No way. No way. Okay. Um boy, I wasn't expecting that. Wow, 2010 that movie came out. Holy shit. 15 years ago. Boy, oh my God, I was like 20, I was 23. I was 23 years old when this movie came out. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm very curious, but I don't know if I would spend money on it. That's the thing. I feel it feels like they're really gonna rely on um I mean, I feel like the big part is, with Jeff Bridges back, that's gonna be like how they draw the original fans in. But I feel like they're kind of keen on like, yeah, this is, fucking this as cool as it looks. I just don't know if it's gonna really deliver. So I don't know. I mean, and you got Jared Leto, like, he's got a big, huge, massive fan base, but I don't know, man. I'm curious. I am very curious, and I knew it. Evan Peters. That was Evan Peters. I was like, that looks like the guy that plays Quicksilver in the in like that the X-Men trilogy. What else is he in? He's in the what's that TV show? It's like that dark, macabre kind of series. American, it was like the American something or other. Anyway, we got Sarah Discharge. Okay, so that's Greta Lee. Got it. Cameron Monaghan from Shameless. He also played Joker in that Batman series, which I didn't watch it, but I heard a lot of praise in his performance as Joker. So we got an interesting cast overall, right? So who else? Yeah, Gillian Anderson from X Files, Jason Tremblay. I don't remember that one. Anyway, Hassan Minaj or Hassan Minaj, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Okay. Jodie Turner Smith, Brad Harder, Jay Durant. All right, so these are just like some small roles here, but um Arturo Castro, I've seen him in some stuff. I think he had his own like comedy show, like like one of those skit shows. So interesting cast, but again, I feel like I'm very curious to see how Jeff Bridges, how he comes back or what like his role as Kevin Flynn, how this plays out in the movie because he should be dead. He didn't he didn't come back out of Tron into the real world. So, you know. Anyway, interesting. Very interesting. Another movie that caught me by surprise was the Naked Gun reboot or remake. I don't know. What's the difference between a reboot and a remake these days? They're the same shit. Um, I remember hearing word of this, who knows, I'll just say years ago. And there was like the hint of Liam Neeson playing Leslie Nielsen's. It's so funny because like the names are almost kind of close, but Leslie Nielsen's character, and or so that's what I thought. But apparently, I guess this is not a reboot. I don't know. Does this count as like a sequel to the original? I think there's three, right? Three Naked Gun films, maybe two. I'm pretty sure there's three. Hmm. Anyway, but yeah, this trailer came out as well. So let's see.
Multiple SWAT units responding to hostage situation.
Feels very like a Michael Bay movie.
Hey, little girl, stop.
Just with the soundtrack and
What
stuff.
do you want, little one? Your ass.
Ridiculous. Seth MacFarlane, okay.
Who are you?
Frank Drebin, Police Squad. The new version.
Hate it. Okay, so he plays the son. No. That was funny. OJ's son. Oh, he's like, nah. So, okay. I guess it's kind of like a I guess it's kind of like a sequel then, right? Because he plays the son now. He's Junior. Um. So, okay, Seth MacFarlane is behind this, which I have some faith for. You know what? Like it feels like that sort of like silly, ridiculous humor is back in the picture now, like the big picture, because I just feel like, I mean, a lot of people, even comedians and comedic actors, are saying like, yeah, comedy films is just not up, is not as up to par these years. uh, so I have faith in this one. It's funny because like Liam Neeson, for being such a, more of a serious actor or just playing more serious roles, he can be funny. I remember when he was in Seth MacFarlane's other film, the A Thousand Ways to Die in the West. Like I thought he was funny, and so if if it sort of has that tone in terms of humor, comedic timing and stuff, I kind of I have faith in this, and I actually I would watch this in the movies, because when you watch a funny movie, like an actual funny movie in theaters, I mean the experience, the shared experience is it's the same as any other shared experience when you're watching like an intense horror, adventure, action, whatever. Like, so when you're watching a real comedy movie and everyone's laughing together, like it's such a beautiful and warming feeling. So I might actually try to see this in theaters. Um, I'm not happy with the ticket prices these days, but I may actually just consider it for this movie. So yeah, I mean, just seeing Liam Neeson in the fucking like Girl Scout outfit, like not even Girl Scout, just like schoolgirl outfit, just ridiculous. Um, but knowing Seth MacFarlane, like that, the violence in it is, I mean, he's got like this guy's blood's like spraying, even though it's um special effects, but there's gonna be like actual violence. I'm sure. I imagine it's gonna be nearly the same level as A Thousand Ways to Die in the West. Like the violence in there was like real violence, but it was funny. So I mean, very much Family Guy kind of stuff. So all right, you kind of got me there. I'm with it. Now another movie that they talked about at CinemaCon, but they didn't. There was like nothing to show for it really. Just more of an announcement is that they're doing the Running Man reboot, which I gotta admit I never watched the original. The original came out in 1987, and it starred the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I don't know why I never watched it. I might have to check that out because I mean, those films during, we preach about the 80s, the 90s. I'll even include the early 2000s. Man, in my opinion, because I'm a 90s kid, I do think like that was such a golden era for films, whatever the category is. It was just such like peak, action, thriller, comedy, like all of that. It was just like, man, they knew how to, get you to perk up for these, for these movies. So I gotta watch that. Yeah, I gotta make it a point to watch the original. Because that I am that type of geek or nerd, whatever you want to put me under. I am that type that will usually watch the original source material before getting into a reboot or a sequel or any of that. So, but um so far as far as we know in the casting, we got Glenn Powell, who I feel like he's been busy. My man here's been busy because he was in the Twisters sequel, which did really well. You know, it was one of those non-woke films. So I've heard. And I think he was in. Let me just check. Wasn't he in Top Gun Maverick as well? Let's see. Hitman. Yeah, he was Top Gun Maverick. Um, and Hidden Figures. Okay, nice. I never watched that movie, but I know that movie did well also. So, yeah, he's been active, been in stuff, and clearly he's in this movie. We also got Josh Brolin, who we have here also, Katie O'Brien. Don't quite recognize you, do I? Oh, she was in Twisters also. Okay. Um, Lee Pace. Okay, cool. Michael Sarah. All right. Coleman Domingo. I recognize him too. What do I recognize him from? He looks so familiar. What were you in, my friend? He was in Lincoln, Fear the Walking Dead. That's right. Man, I never even got that far in that series. Like, I remember in the very beginning of that series, they were like trying to reach a boat. They're trying to get on. I think he was the owner of the boat they were trying to get to, something like that. Anyway, then we got Amelia Jones, Sean Hayes. Okay. David Zayas. Wow. He was in man, trying to think what was the last thing I saw him in. I mostly recognize him from being in the HBO series Oz. Um William H. Macy from Shameless, Carl Glusman, Daniel Ezra, George. All right, starting to recognize less actors and actresses here. Anyway, should be interesting. According to IMDb, because that's where I'm checking the stuff out. Uh, so in this version, a man joins a game show where contestants misread that, allowed to go anywhere in the world, are pursued by hunters hired to kill them. Okay, but what's the original plot? Um, I'm gonna read it in Arnold's voice because he was the main lead. In a dystopian America, a falsely convicted policeman gets his shot at freedom when he must forcibly participate in a TV game show where convicts, runners, must battle killers for their freedom. um, oh, that's so funny. It's supposed to, the year is 2017. The world economy has collapsed. Do I want to read this in Arnold's voice too? The United States has sealed off its borders and has become a military controlled police state which controls TV, movies, art, books, communication, and censorship. And the police state America has become criminals. America has become criminals have a choice. I'm reading that weird. They can serve their sentences in the prison, or they can take part in the Running Man, a government-owned violent game show where contestants running for freedom are pursued by stalkers, wrestler like bounty hunters. The Running Man is the top-rating show on network TV, and Damon Killian, the creator and host, is the most popular entertainer in the U.S., but one man has yet to play. Former LA police officer Ben Richards, framed for the massacre of innocent people when disobeyed orders, is recaptured. After escaping the prison, Ben is forced to appear on The Running Man, joined by resistance fighters William Laughlin and Harold Weiss and Amber Mendez, a network employee who Richards took hostage, and she turned Richards into the authorities, are chased by the stalkers as they search for the secret base of the resistance, as they bid to broadcast the truth about the government and prove Ben's innocence. Oh, this was Synopsis was written by Daniel Williamson. Thank you, Daniel. And then this is the whole. So interesting. I gotta watch the original. It's classic Arnie. So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of great one-liners in there. But yeah, so man, we got this came out 87 now coming out in 2025. That's so crazy. Like, it's so funny, man. Like we complain that they're always making reboots and remakes and all this stuff for spin-off series. Like like people are always just running with the classic IP instead of coming up with new, fresh, creative ideas. But let's be honest, man, like when they do try that, they don't do well in the box office, whether it's just poor writing, poor casting, or just people aren't interested. They just want something familiar. So then they try to rehash these classic IPs in the hopes that they can expand to a broader audience while, you know, hooking in the OGs. So it's just like, we complain about the lack of originality, but then when writers, directors, producers come up with something new and it's just like not as enticing, like it's just goddamn. So that's got to be frustrating, you know. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to hear more about it. I'll be sure to watch the original at some point, maybe sooner than later. Um, so yeah, moving on to the next film. This is just an announcement. Um, which is Starship Troopers big screen reboot coming from District 9 director Neil Blomkamp. Would you like to know more? Yes, I would. After a long wait, and I'm also reading this from space.com in the entertainment section. After a long wait and a bunch of disappointing straight to DVD sequels, I didn't realize that. I think I was aware of like maybe a sequel or two, but I remember hearing something that there's like been several. Although I will say, when I was younger, in like the 90s, they did come out with a TV series, whether you want to call it a spin-off or whatever, but it was called Roughnecks. It was a full 3D animated series, and for the time, I thought it was pretty dope. Honestly, I didn't mind it at all. It was entertaining. I mean, granted, I was watching this like right before school, so this was like, I don't know, 6:30, 7 a.m. But it was entertaining enough for me to be engaged in it before school. So that was neat. Um, so Starship Troopers is trying to live forever with a theatrical reboot now in development. Um, I don't want to. Is this like a long report? Okay, it's not. All right. After a few false starts over the years, a Starship Troopers reboot is now in active development at oh my gosh, I can't read. At Sony's Columbia Pictures, with District 9 and Chappie writer director Neil Blomkamp leading the charge. Let's hope it goes better than the invasion of Clendathu. Clendathu? I can't say that right. The Hollywood Reporter shared the exclusive on March 14th, stating Blomkamp would write and direct a new adaptation of the classic sci-fi novel by Robert A. Heinlein. It's been reported it won't stick close to Paul Verhoeven's highly satirical and exaggerated take, and will instead go back to the source material, which received criticism over its glorification of the military and fascist society, among other things. Despite the initial confusion and many discussions over whether Verhoeven's 1997, okay, that's when it came out, blockbuster was subverting or doubling down, Jesus, I can't read, on the source material's politics. The movie was generally well received and gained a hard cult following over the years. I will say there is something to that because like you watch it now today, it's like it's still entertaining, as silly and like they said, satirical as it, and exaggerated as that movie was. It was highly entertaining. um so I will say that. And funny enough, when I was still in the hospital recovering from surgery, that movie was playing on TV. And yeah, it didn't matter where. Like I didn't have to start from the beginning. That's my point. Like that movie is one of those movies where you can just start from anywhere and just watch it to the end. Like that's how entertaining it is, or was. And then it says here, nowadays it's consistently brought up as one of the great sci-fi movies from the 90s with the cutting edge VFX. Yeah, the special effects wasn't terrible back then either. That's like one of the arguments today is that, technology is getting so much better, yet the VFX for some movies are just not as great as they should be. Um, the animatronics, that too, that was a cool part of the movies during that time, is just the use of their animatronics. Um, there being highlights that have helped it age remarkably well, and the same can't be said for the four dreadful straight to home market sequels that continue the story. So wow, there are four other movies that came afterwards. Oof. Um. So hey man, I'm all for it. Bring it on. From a business point of view, it's an interestingly timed move when we consider Sony has just announced a Helldivers movie adaptation. Oh, I think that's a video game, right? For the unaware, PlayStation's Helldivers 2 became a massive hit last year. Oh, you know what? Now I remember. Now I remember that game. They would have like sort of these like ads like within the game verse, like very comical. It was funny. It really had the vibes of a Starship Troopers film, actually, now that I keep thinking about it. Um anyway, we're just talking about, I guess they're just talking about the timing of this release, or just the timing of these two movies. Even putting tonal and political similarities aside, the central premise of the co-op online shooter is roughly the same in the future, and not at all fascist dictatorship called the Federation of Super Earth launches huge military campaigns against various threats from other worlds to protect humans' ways of life. Okay, anyway, all I'm gonna say is, because they stated that this is gonna be the inspiration is gonna be drawn from the original novel. I'm gonna say this because I feel like not a lot of people know this. So the the lead character in the novel, his name is Johnny Rico. He's actually Filipino in the novel, and if you've seen the movie, he's clearly not Filipino. So I would like for them to cast a Filipino for this role. So just want to put that out there. I'm gonna clip that. I want a Filipino lead for the new Starship Trooper remake. All right, let's make it happen. Support Asian American Pacific Islanders actors in the industry. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So we're gonna pivot to a couple of animation projects that are in the airwaves. Just found out that The Legend of Aang, which is the last Airbender animated movie film, it's been announced officially. Um, and it's gonna come out in January. Well, they're okay. The plan is to release the film in January 2026. All right, all I'm gonna say is are the original guys working on this movie? Let's see. Paramount revealed the new title of their upcoming Last Airbender animated. Oh, it's an animated feature. Okay. Coming to theaters. That's cool. It's gonna get a theater release. So January 30th, 2026, and it's Legend of Aang. Okay. All right. The studio made the announcement at their CinemaCon. Right, got that. The Legend of Aang, the Last Airbender. Oh, the Last Airbender's voice cast includes Eric Nam as Aang. Who's Eric Nam? Was he the anyway? Dave Bautista as a villain. Uh, Dion Kwan, Jessica Matten, Roman Zaragoza, and Steven Yun. Okay. Oh my god, I think I'm losing my voice. I'm intrigued, but I want to know if the original creators are Lauren Montgomery, who worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, directs what will reportedly be the first of the three Last Airbender films. Oh my gosh, they're going to do three? For more airbending, read up on Avatar, Seven Havens, and the new Last Airbender box set. What? Is that all they know? What's the comments here? One of the best animated shows ever made. Yeah. All right, this is just people kind of praising it. I hope for more. I hope they bring back the original creators though, cause like they fucking killed it, man. Like the Netflix series was such a disappointment, and I understand why they left. There were many creative differences that took place, or at least ended with the final product, and it was not great. I can't believe it got greenlit for two more seasons after that atrocity. We fell so hard for just the optics, right? When that first trailer came out, I was like, "Oh my god, Appa looks amazing. The costumes look great and all this stuff." And then I feel like the more they were revealing, like more clips started like having that little I don't know. Like when we saw Boomy, or at least when I saw Boomy, I'm like, Boomy kind of looks a little funny. So I and just yeah, I don't know, man. Like clearly you could tell where the budget went with that one. Hopefully, you know, they get enough budget to invest on the actors' acting classes, uh, martial arts classes. You know, not so much on the VFX, because man, and also the writers' room, like shit. I could not. I did not finish that show. I stopped at somehow I braved up to episode 5. But even with that, I don't think I finished that episode. I gave up. But anyway, I hope they do. I hope they do better with this. I really hope they do better with this. I also heard that that the original makers are working on a sequel series to Korra. Apparently, her her actions came with some great consequences for the rest of the world after that. You know that 4 season run. So, boy, oh boy, poor Korra. She just can't. She just really can't get it right. Anyway, so I'm interested. I'm interested to keep up with the news on this animated film. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that they get this shit right. Another announcement regarding an animated movie. I think it's a movie. Is John Wick. John Wick is getting an animated prequel film. In the works. This is I'm reading this from IndieWire for people listening. So John Wick animated prequel film in the works at Lionsgate from Ultraman Rising director. Ultraman Rising, I think, is the Netflix animated series. Um, I would see that thumbnail on Netflix, and I'm like, I'm curious. Like I never got into Ultraman, but I was always just intrigued by just the character design and all that. Kaiju stuff is like, I'm not very into kaiju stuff, but it is still cool. I mean, I grew up on Power Rangers. That's as far as it goes, if you want to count that. And I watched latest Godzilla, Kong films and all that. It's fun. It's all good fun. um, so here says John Wick lives. John Wick lives. Lionsgate is in the works on the new John Wick movie, but the character will come back to the screen, big screen, for a prequel film that will also, for the first time, be an animated film, which is cool. I like that approach. They're really running with the whole John Wick story, even with that spin-off movie, Ballerina, which I'm gonna see that. I know Keanu is reprising his role as Baba Yaga. Um, I believe it takes place like that event takes place around like the third film, so that should be really interesting. Um, but if this is a prequel film, let's see. And it's not for the kids either. Okay, expect the Wick movie to be as highly stylized, action heavy, and aimed at mature audiences. Of course, I just hope again, just because having some background in animation, not in the industry, but just you know having a degree in animation. I'm always like keeping an eye out for just the quality of their animation, more so like the character animation. That was my focus when I was still in school. So I'm just like, that's why I love like kind of going back to the Avatar series, like all their fight sequences, the coordination, all that. Like that shit was executed so well. I would even say Legend of Korra, in my opinion, had even like better fight sequences. I feel like that one really felt more like some I don't know. I feel like that one just involved a little more martial arts in their bending skills. So, yeah, I just hope, John Wick will sort of like this animated movie will sort of live up to the films because all that fight choreography in the movies were just so awesome, so well done, and shot very well. Um, so I really hope it lives up to just the name of the franchise. Um, so the untitled animated feature will flash back to before the events of the first John Wick movie from 2014 and will look at how Wick worked to complete the fabled impossible task that has been teased in the franchise. It will depict the ordeal that required Wick to kill all of his rivals in one night, a task that won him his freedom from his obligation to the High Table and let him live with the love of his life, Helen. That's cool. I like that. Um, I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, I'm not opposed to the animated approach. They kind of been doing that with The Witcher. Like they just I think somewhat recently there was like the animated movie. I just and this is having like a big screen premiere, so yeah, I hope it does well. I watched the Witcher animated movie, and I don't know, something about it wasn't hooking me. I don't maybe because I'm just so used to seeing Henry Cavill play Geralt, but maybe I'll give that another try. The film is directed by Shannon Tyndall, who directed Annie Award nominated Ultraman Rising for Netflix last year. Tyndall's also an animator who has worked on Kubo and the Two Strings. Oh, that was a good movie. I think that was the stop motion, right? Coraline and Megamind, and served as an executive producer and showrunner on the Emmy-winning series Lost Ollie. Vanessa Taylor, a writer on the Game of Thrones, who also wrote the screenplay for the Best Picture winner, The Shape of Water, and films like Divergent, Uglies, and Hillbilly Elegy. Will write the script for the animated John Wick film. The producing teams that have shepherded the entire franchise are all back for the animated project, including Thunder Road's Basil Iwanek and Erica Lee, 8711 Entertainment's Chad Stileski, and Reeves himself. 8711 Entertainment's Alex Young and Jason Spitz will executive produce. The Wick movies have gotten bigger and bigger with each entry. 2023's John Wick Chapter 4 made $440 million at the box office globally. All right, it's just going off on numbers. Hey, I'm down. I'm down to clown with this. So, fingers crossed, it'll it'll at least live up to the franchise, just, in terms of its reputation. And it would be cool to see that interpreted in animation, I suppose. So, yeah, I'm for it. Before we get into the next segment, which is the retro game. Hey guys, so your boy needs to make a few bucks in order to keep things afloat. So I would truly appreciate it if you would visit my website, theartofgterado.square.site, to shop for art prints or original one-of-ones, or perhaps you may contact me on social media to commission small, custom, or personalized artwork ranging in sizes between 2.5 by 3.5 inches and 5 by 7 inches. They can be black and white or in full color, perfect for tight spaces, guaranteed quick turnaround, and they won't hurt your bank account. So thank you in advance. Now let's get back to the show. So there's been a couple of titles that were announced that I'm excited for these games to come out, and I would say more excited the fact that they're coming out for Xbox One, because a lot of people shit on Xbox One. I get it. Sure, PlayStation's got better games, whatever. But that being said, you got to give credit to Xbox for still having access to these classic video games. I mean, they have these collection series, like, I got my hands on the Castlevania collection, which I beat 4 of the original games. I'm gonna pat myself in the back, but also give a shout out to YouTube channels You Can Beat Video Games and Video Games 101, because they provided great playthroughs and they show you all the secrets and all that. So if it wasn't for them, also if it wasn't for the saving feature on Xbox, I would not have been able to beat these games. Yes, I cheated my way through these games, but I'm trying to fulfill my childhood here. Anyway, let me digress. So yeah, these games coming out for Xbox One and for all the other consoles and platforms. There's this company called Bitmap Bureau, and they created this game called Terminator 2D No Fate, which is a 16-bit style video game, and boy oh boy, let's check this shit out. It looks fucking awesome. Like, look at this intro right here. Come on. Pure nostalgia here with the graphics. Look at this gameplay. Very Contra-esque in that run through. Man, look, it's so and the chase scene with the truck, saving John Connor, fucking classic. Yeah, man. I am all in. I am all in. So good. You get to play as Naked Arnie. and it's so cool because I guess there's stages where you get to play as future John Connor. So this right here, it just shouts Contra. And man, I just hell yeah, thumbs up, two thumbs up if you got another hand. But this comes out September 5th. Yeah, I can't fucking wait. I got to make sure I save up for that game cuz that shit just looks so good. Um yeah, I'm excited. Like I've still yet gotten a chance to play because like the last time I was talking about retro games, um I was talking about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. I haven't got my hands on it. I know it's on sale, but it was kind of a little pricey for my liking, right? It was like I think the starting price was like 35.99 or whatever. It's now down to like $26 and change, I believe. The last time I checked. Um, Still a bit, but like that game looks pretty cool. Like from what I've seen, like it's got like all these different elements from like different gameplays. So anyway, it looks cool. I look forward to getting my hands on that eventually. But yeah, Terminator, like that one, I might even say I would pay full price for it. It looks so fucking good. Um, so yeah, anyway, another title that was recently announced was Marvel Cosmic Invasion. All right. Now, before I play this, I'm gonna say, people kept saying that this is the X-Men arcade game sequel. Some are saying it's more like the Avengers arcade game sequel, which I'm actually leaning more towards because in this game, I mean, it's called Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Um, and you get to play other Marvel characters. So like the people that are like, oh, X-Men, part two or whatever, like, wait, what? You get to play other characters, so it's clearly more than just X-Men. But this here, I love the animation. Man. So cool. Makes me think about like the Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Like that one had a great opening sequence. So this is dope. And they'll show these games for just a moment. But yeah, you got all these other characters. Like that was that chick there, wasn't that like I think her name's like Excalibur? No, not Excalibur. Is it Excalibur? Something like that. And then you got Supernova, Venom, Cap, of course. So yeah, you got you can play all these other characters. There was like a Spider-Man. So there's like one thing, and this is like just like a minor observation. I've noticed like when you catch Captain America, especially, I noticed this looking at Captain America and Wolverine when they're in idle mode. The way they're like just kind of in idle, it reminds me of Marvel vs. Capcom, like when they're about to fight. So I wonder if like I mean, I don't know how it works in gaming, but I wonder if they use like that sort of, I'll just say programming, like the engine for those characters, if they reuse that and then they just put on a more like a different, this character design for the game. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone. If you're a gamer, you might know what I'm talking about. So I wonder if they use the same game engine from the Marvel vs. Capcom games and then just put on their new character designs for this game. Make sense? I don't know. Let me know. But yeah, I'm really excited. I don't think there was a is there a I mean, we know it's coming out this year, probably towards the end of the year, I imagine. But yeah, there's no release dates. Nope, just 2025. So yeah, anyway, I'm excited again. Can't wait. And yeah. Uh so having watched these trailers or just hearing about these titles kind of got me thinking about some potential ideas. Um like what if cuz like when it comes to 16-bit games, like, those side scroller beat 'em up games, they're huge, right? We just saw with the Cosmic Invasion. What if they made that same like style gameplay, like a beat 'em up game for Conan, right? Because I feel like there's a lot there's Conan games that I would see on Xbox in the marketplace. And I don't know, they just I feel like I've never heard anything about them. I don't know if they're good or not. Like, I'm so curious that I might actually get one, or maybe I'll check out some reviews on them. But with 16-bit games, retro style games being such a big thing in our culture, even to this day, why don't they make a Conan game? Whether it's based on just Conan the Barbarian, maybe both Conan the Barbarian and the Destroyer, that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would even actually pitch the idea of doing a beat 'em up game based off the animated cartoon Conan the Adventurer. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you. Because I don't I don't think this in no way was I mean, it definitely wasn't connected to, it wasn't canon to the Arnold movies. Like, it was like those films were way too, you know, mature. Um, but they did come out with a series, Conan the Barbarian. I mean, Conan the Adventurer, and I definitely was into that. And let's get a good picture here, or just the intro. So you know what? Well, why not? Goddamn YouTube ads! I swear. Um, let's check out.
Conan, the adventurer. Conan, warrior without fear.
Peak 90s. And they had these cool characters that would help them along these adventures. Sometimes they would split plays, right? They would kind of go through a rotation of characters for the episode. Yeah, but how cool would it be if they made a game for this? I don't think there's any game for this during the time. I mean, maybe there was, and I just, we didn't know because we didn't have the internet. I might have to check. You know what? Let's see. I'm going to look it up. Is there a Conan Adventurer game? Because like at this time, probably board games were, that was a thing. Yeah, they just had board games, dice games, but no beat 'em up games. So come on. Someone out there that is more privy to the video game world. Come on, you pitch that idea. You don't have to credit me, but I wouldn't mind it. But I think it would be really cool because because what also got me thinking about it was the Karate Kid game, right? Well, I forget, it was like Fury Street or Street Fury or something like that. They like combined all the characters from the main 3 Karate Kid films, right? And based all the levels to the game based off of those films. So I'm like, oh, why not do that with Conan? That would be so cool. The other idea I had was, well, let me preface with this. So another classic game was this multiplayer puzzle game called The Lost Vikings. And it's basically you got these 3 Vikings that get abducted by like these aliens or robots or whatever, and you kind of have to just escape and return home. So you play these 3 Vikings. Each one has special attributes to them. And you gotta, yeah, so while you're trying to beat these levels, the goal is you gotta get all 3 of them to make it to the end of the level, right? So again, because each character has a special like feature to them, you got to use them very strategically throughout the entire level. So you got this guy with the red beard. His name is Eric the Swift. Eric is a slender red-headed powerhouse. He is the only one of the Vikings that can jump, and he can use his horned helm to charge at great speeds, damaging enemies or breaking through certain walls. And it's funny because, excuse me, you may have just saw when he breaks through something, he kind of gets like dizzy. Um, so like that's his thing. And then next you got Baliog the Fierce. Baliog is a muscular blonde Viking with a mustache that would make Yosemite Sam proud. As a master of weapons, Baliog can dispatch enemies using either his bow or his massive claymore sword. He can also fire arrows to press buttons or switches that would normally be out of reach. So that's his thing. And then lastly, you got Olaf the Stout. The gentle giant of the bunch, Olaf is a blonde Viking sporting an impressive beard and clothes a bit too small for his personality. So he's a thick boy, a chunker, as I like to say. Olaf can block any attacks with his shield. He can also lift his shield overhead and hurl himself over cliffs to glide majestically. Last but not least, Beliog and Eric can climb on top of Olaf's shield. He's strong enough to keep them there, giving them a boost in height if needed. So those are the features of those characters in the game. When I was playing at I remember just struggling because I didn't really, this came out what year? Right? I was probably like 7, maybe 11. So this came out in 92. Yeah, I was 7 years old. Not even. I was 6 years old around this time. So yeah, I had no idea that this was more of a puzzle, strategic game. That being said, I think it would be really cool if they made a game with this type of gameplay, but with the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit or both. Like wouldn't you guys think? I don't know. Like, I think it would be a really cool idea. I might be alone on this, but again, seeing these new game titles in 16-bit format just got my gears going, thinking like, oh man, what other, because we're always bringing, we're unbagging the old with a modern flair, or at least just like, in this case, we're bringing back these, or showing these classic IPs in the light that it didn't get to quite shine in this case, video games. So I just like, you got Terminator 2D, and then Marvel Cosmic Invasion. There's a bunch of Marvel games, but like, man, it'd be really cool to see the Conan the Barbarian or Destroyer or the Adventurer with the same treatment that the Terminator is getting. And same thing applies with the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit. Those IPs having the same treatment, with like video games, like in this format. Because, of course, they had their games at the time when those movies were, released. And I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas. And I just think it would be cool. So if you're a big gamer if you're a big gamer, you grew up around the time I did, from the same generation, you love these movie franchises, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. Like, do you think these would be cool ideas or not? And if so, let's see if we can start something. See if we can just push it out there in the air to the point, until, developers are like, oh, hey, how come we haven't thought of that? Let's see if we can make that happen. Anyway, I'm just a dreamer dreaming. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. If you've been tuning in up to this point, I truly appreciate you. And if you did enjoy this episode, please consider subscribing and ringing that notification bell so you'll know when another episode drops. In the meantime, be sure to catch me on social media. Again, I'm mainly active on Instagram. And yeah, please take a look at my online shop because your boy uh, needs to make a buck. So, with all that out of the way, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay driven. And hopefully, I will catch you on the next episode. Peace out, guys.